Here we go.
There we go.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So tell me, you're based in Washington, D.C., correct? Are you living in Virginia or one of the nearby places?
I'm in Maryland, but yes, I am like a hop, skip, and a jump from Washington, D.C.
Okay. I went to college at Georgetown University for 8 years. I'm a Hoya. I'm a double Hoya. I'm a forever ever Hoya. So
That's right. Hey, go Georgetown, man. They have some great basketball. I myself am a Terp.
okay.
I'm a Terp. I'm with the University of Maryland. Yeah, I'm all about the DMV. My whole goal is to bring more attention to the area. It is a lot of rich culture, great food, good people, and a lot of people miss out on it. And great businesses and entrepreneurs. So this is what this show is all about. So I'm going to start the podcast by telling everybody hello, thank you, and welcome to subscribing to All Gas, No Break podcast. Thank you for all the downloads, all the listens, the social media follows, the numbers we're hitting. Thank you, guys. It's been great. Today on the show, we have a boss of all bosses, entrepreneur, Anu. I don't want to say your last name incorrectly. So would you mind letting the people know who you are, what is it you do, you're a little bit about your company and your name, and where they can follow you as well.
Amazing. Okay, so my name is Anu Bhardwaj. I'm the founder and CEO of SHEQONOMI. And SHEQONOMI is spelled SHEQONOMI. I'm going to put that in the comments so you all can check it out. And you can start to like us on Insta, Facebook. The place where you're really going to find out more about us is on LinkedIn, because everyone on here needs to be on LinkedIn also. And I would say this is the beginning of more conversations between Santi and I. And that community that we're building is really trying to find people who are going to amplify our voices on all channels. So we're here to amplify voices of women primarily across all platforms that are digital. And we are doing this on both smartphones and dumb phones. So SHEQONOMI is a mobile app, somewhat like Spotify. We don't have any music on it. We're very focused on podcast. We're very focused on women's content. So you can have people that are supportive of women. We have some men on there who are also community members. We have co-hosts who are men on there. We don't discriminate. We're inclusive community. And the most important thing to us is that our content goes to both smartphones and dumb phones. And we'll talk a little bit more about this today, but we are now, we've been building in stealth, and we've now scaled across Africa, all across Latin America, Asia, on iOS phones. And this is like low cost devices, $10, $15 phones. We're also on low cost laptops in India, $100 laptops. We're on low cost TVs. We're about to go into 400 million devices across India. We're waiting on our partner Jio, who we've been building with quietly all through the pandemic. Jio has their own cloud and they've got their own 4G, 5G networks. This is really important because we have a lot of people that are not in the big cities. They're in tier 2, tier 3 cities, villages. And so to get it out there, they've started to build their own Wi-Fi infrastructure. And SHEQONOMI started building, our first app we started building it out in the village on like low connectivity, low bandwidth. And from there, it went into 3G phones, 4G phones, 5G phones. So you can find us on, anywhere Spotify is on the iPhones or on Google Play Store. But most importantly, we had to start with our people who needed it the most during COVID. So that's the origin of who we are, what we do, why we do it. And we now have 3,000 podcasts in over 40 languages, including Chinese, Arabic, Swahili, Spanish, Hindi, Tagalog. So we have tons of languages that, maybe my grandma won't understand, but if you give her a phone that she can afford and a phone that has languages that she would love to listen to podcasts, she can also feel included. Same with young women and girls who are forced out of school.
That is amazing. That's beautiful and amazing. I remember when Deshawn introduced me to you and she told me what you were doing in Vegas. And
Yes.
it just made so much sense. It's what the world needs. Kudos to you for having the vision to see that because you are the founder. And I did my research on you. You have not, I mean, you said Georgetown, but you've been around. You've been around many countries and
Yes.
many degrees. You have a wealth of world knowledge. And then you put yourself in like the forefront of it all to learn it. So, I want to read something about you. I'm gonna read something. I took a little clip from what you got on your bio. Your company listed on the 2020 Inc. magazine Global Top 100 Female Founders and one of the 7 female award recipients of the 2020 Transform Fund from the Islamic Development Bank from a pool of 5,000 applicants worldwide. Wow. And also, I got to read it. That was crazy. You also co-chaired the 2nd annual Blockchain for Impact Summit at the UN headquarters in 2019. And you are the founder of Women Investing in Women Digital with over 1 million international followers and the State of Women Institute. Where do you find the time?
So I will correct one thing, which is that we are now at 930,000 followers on Women Investing in Women Digital on Facebook. For those people who are like, she's not quite
round up.
Yes, but I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. So there's been a lot of sacrifices made. I'm not gonna say it was easy. It felt like I cut off my left arm to save my right sometimes. It was really difficult. I'm a mama. I've got a young daughter, and when I say young, she's now 13. But the most impressive thing is that young daughter came with me to the UN and gave her keynote when she was 7. I also want to give credit where credit's due. The company that's standing here before you today was because she donated her college fund to set up the very first app on that low cost device. She believed in us. She believed in the team. She believed in the girls on the other end that were going to use this knowledge to uplift themselves. And without her support, financially and otherwise, and her father's support, I could not be where I am today. So I'm very grateful for those two who made that sacrifice to let me fly, to let me go. And when I say they let me go, I have to do this full time. And that's the only way you can find the time to do everything is you have to make that commitment. There's no excuse. Because when it gets to a certain point, you know who you're doing it for and why, and you are that shot, like so many shots have been taken, but now you just go and you're fighting for them and you just do it. And there's no going back because there's nothing to go back to at that point because you're so far into it. So this is the honest answer. It's not pretty. And it's not like sometimes I think about it, I'm like, wow, success. But then I look back and I'm like, yeah, that's what it takes. And so that's the honesty of all of it is that you have to have a very strong why. You really do. Otherwise, it's not worth it. It's just not.
I love that real answer. This is All Gas, No Brakes podcast. So we take no breaks. Breaks is spelled BREAKS. All gas, no breaks. You know what I mean? So you answered that exactly as I expected. It's you sacrifice, but you did it. You know what I mean? You're here. You're seeing your baby grow, and you got your daughter involved. That had to be amazing. That feeling. I know she's proud of you.
Yes. So we have our moment. She's 13. There's no breaks with this one. There's no breaks.
My gosh. I just had babies during COVID. So I'm on my 3rd baby now. Whoa. I have 3 boys.
Lucky you.
Under 3.
Oh
So
boy.
no breaks.
Yeah.
No breaks. No breaks. So I'm gonna ask a fun question first, because you
Do
know
it.
you did a lot. You did a lot.
Yeah.
What is your favorite childhood memory?
um, yeah. Okay. Favorite childhood memory. Um, so I, I grew up in India part of the time, and um, I used to be obsessed with I don't know, just like I was a very social person, and I would go to the shop and the local store. And the way it works in India is um, you don't have grocery stores. You have like these little kiosks, these little stations. And I made friends with a lot of the kiosk owners, and I would just go and they have like these little containers with chocolates and cookies or whatever. And the way it works there is you buy it by piece. You don't buy a whole box because you can't afford a whole box. You just buy like little one piece of candy or two pieces of candy, kind of like gumball machines. And I would just stick my hand in the jar and I would just take it like I own the place. And then I would tell the guy, my grandmother's gonna pay you later. Like, I'm just gonna take this now. And so like, he would just say, sure, honey, whatever. And he would write it down in his book. And it was like, just go and pick up candy whenever you wanted it. And so she would eventually pay him. She'd say, it's fine, go get your piece of candy. But I used to just really enjoy that. And it's like a very simple kind of thing, but you're like this kid, the neighborhood kid that's just running up, and she's like, I've got to go to the store. And then it got to the point where it's like my friends want candy too. So became the local dealer, which was kind of nice.
Pushing that sugar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But I remember that like simple things like that. It was like you play on the street. We didn't what was it? We didn't have a lot of money. This is just like, like um you'd play on the street. Sometimes we would wear shoes or we wouldn't wear shoes. But there were all these games that you would play on the street and you'd play and you'd play and you'd play it until you got so tired and you'd come home and you'd pass out. But it was like there was a lot of joy. Yeah. And I don't even remember all the games that we played. I think they made up these games and all the kids would join together. And it was in the middle of the street and like, or in the like, in the garden nearby or something. But there was just a lot of kids and there was a lot of I don't know, a lot of joy.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I understand exactly what you're saying. I'm from Panama. I was born in Panama, so I had the shop where you could just, you just get candy. You don't get the whole amount because, like you said, it was expensive. So I remember just the play. The play is fun. It's not a care in the world almost.
yeah, it's a different. It's their they know how to live life.
Yes.
We didn't have any video games back then. I don't think we even had a TV. Like
Mm.
it was that kind of life. It was just like very humble, very basic, very simple. But we had a lot of people around us at all times, like so many people. So
Mm. So, what inspired you to start your own business? And another question I like to ask about the names of people choose for their business. What
yeah.
inspired the name? Where did that come from as well?
So I have been an entrepreneur, I want to say, for 3 decades now. So it's not something that, I think it just came to me the very first time. I'm like, I want to start something of my own. I want to be my own boss. So I've always said I don't want to work for someone else. I got skills and things like that, but I've always wanted to create something and I wanted it to be new and I wanted it to be different. And ultimately, I wanted it to have an impact, and didn't want to have to like explain why I'm doing things. I think having that autonomy was like really important. That too, being a woman, I know like what odds are against me, and also I think when you create something of your own, um, again, this is like, no one's stopping you. It's just you stopping you at the end of the day. There's no one to tell you, no, you can't do this. I mean, sure, there's like ceilings and walls and things like that, but entrepreneurs know how to get around them. We kind of don't see them in the first place, so we
Yeah.
just keep going anyway.
Yeah.
And then with regards to the name, I chose SHEQONOMI because the old economy is powered by men. We know what kind of men powered the old economy. They still do. But this is a new economy powered by she. It's a she economy as opposed to the he economy. And what I've always said in my pitch decks is this is a company that's designed for the 2.5 billion women of color who haven't been given a chance. And when I say that, it's people that look like me. And if you look just in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, we have like 2.5 billion of us that look just like me. Half of those are women. And then we have our sisters in Africa, our sisters in the Caribbean, the rest of us in Latin America and Central America. I mean, this is a very big deal. And it's that new economy that's going to be amplified and powered by the voices of women and girls that look like me. Men too are welcome, of course. And thank you for leading this conversation. And I'm honored to be here because you felt this was important enough to bring me on here. But I genuinely felt like the she economy, it's time. And we used SHEQ because the Q is that quotient. It's that determining factor. So it is the she economy.
Love it. Love it. Oh yeah, I'm all in. I believe in it. I know it's aha, but it's such a blessing when you get that aha. You know what I mean? You're just walking around and click. Because I've been an entrepreneur for many years myself. I know entrepreneurship. So many failed businesses, and this podcasting business started. Okay, this is doing well. Am I in my right space? Finally, cool. I'm getting it.
Yeah.
So I completely understand. The pull, and then with podcasting, that you use that as the wheel to push you. That's that. How did that come about? Having podcasting be that drive.
Okay, so this is unplugged. You're my one and only commitment left in the day, which is great.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And I'm going to unplug this a little bit and give the full story. So we used to have this company called Women Investing in Women Digital. And Women Investing in Women had conferences and summits all over the world. And we did events in Phoenix, Arizona, sold out 12-12-12 summit. We did one in Sweden. It was the 11-12-13 summit. I remember the dates. That's how I still remember how this happened. And that was a sold out event in Stockholm. And then we said, okay, well, it's not just the US and Sweden. Let's go to South Africa. We had a Valentine's Day event in South Africa. We had one in San Diego. We had one in Singapore. It was just being invited all over the world to present women investing in women. And we had these conferences wherever I had strong networks and communities where I had lived before. I got my MBA in Sweden. I did a master's in Singapore. I went to the Indian Institute of Technology in Mumbai as a Fulbright scholar in India. So I had been winning all these scholarships, and so I had all these communities. So I'm like, let's just go do a summit there, and all my community will support me. And then we had our last summit. I believe this was in 2015, and it was in Stockholm. And we had 1,400 people at the Nordic Stock Exchange floor. And it was all talking about investing. And I was like, this is so great. We got NASDAQ. We're in Sweden. Just did our event in Austria. We had South Africa finished. And I'm like, but the conversations we had here were going to the women in these other parts of the world. And they need to listen to what we had going on at the same time. And it was before the world went digital. This was back in the day where we were talking in silos. I mean, sometimes I feel like we still are, but now we have social media. And I just created a Facebook account to connect all these people, these attendees. I'm like, let's just connect on social after the conference. We didn't have any video content. We didn't have any podcasts. And I'm like, let's see who's actually following this conversation. And what had happened is because we put it on Facebook back then, the community started to build, just like we're building on LinkedIn right now. And I looked at the demographics, and it said that the highest, sorry.
So take your time.
So the highest engagement came from 18 to 35-year-olds, which is how social media works.
Mhm.
That too, in many of these emerging markets, they have a young population. So India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all of Africa, Middle East, right? So I was like, now maybe I should start a show. Maybe I should go on a podcast. And I was interviewed by this girl for a radio show. It was hosted by Voice America. And that show, the producer said, "This is great content. Have you considered having your own show?" And I said, "Actually, that would be great. I never considered it, but yeah, I think we could do it. I think we should do it." And he's like, "Well, we're with Voice America Kids. We're with Kidstar Radio. You need to find a junior host." And so I'm like, who do I know that could work on this with me? So I called my babysitter, Michelle Jaffe, at the time. And I was like, "Hey, Michelle, I know you're going to be applying for colleges soon. I think this would be like a really good thing for you to join me on. And if you can prepare the content, I'll get the guests and, we'll work together on this. And this studio is going to give us space. We can go in on weekends. And for anybody watching right now, later or whenever, this is something that you can do with your kids. And I encourage you to." And so Michelle said, "Yes, let me talk to my mom." The mom was ecstatic. She's like, "Do it, Michelle, do it." And my nanny, who was living with me at the time, was from Austria. She's half Nigerian, half Austrian. And she's like, "I want to come. Can I learn skills also? I want to produce. I want to edit. I want to learn some skills." And I said, "Yes, Miss JJ, come. You should be on this also." Arya, my baby girl, was 2.5 at the time. And she was like, "I'll say thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show." So literally I had my team and this producer, every Saturday we would sit with him, and it was like instructional, but at the same time, the girls would like lead the conversation. I would co-host, and we would call all of these speakers from Sweden, South Africa, Austria. Like literally we started with one show, and Women Investing in Women and Girls was born. And we started to see the numbers climb, and we ended up going from 50,000 Facebook followers to over 1 million. That's how we got that million. So we had a lot of content. Different people were chiming in back then. And then once we had all that content, I said, let's just turn this into a feed. We'll just keep posting content. We didn't like push the button on it. It's just there. Community is there. It's still there. The 930,000, maybe some 70,000 or like, where's the content or what's going on here? It's coming. It's going to come back because that community never dies. Now we have all these podcasters that are coming, and we're going to release that content, all this new content. But the genesis of how this all got started was that one show, Saturday morning, with a stroller, the girls, and then the highlight of this is Michelle got into the Wharton School of Business. One of our other co-hosts, she got into Stanford.
Wow.
Another co-host she's from Qatar. She's a Qatari princess, and she got into Cambridge University. And then she would like chime in from the other side of the world. And then one of our other co-hosts, she became a Miss USA. She's a Latina from Phoenix, Victoria Mendoza. And so she came on the show, a couple shows. So we would like switch it out and, open it up to the girls. But it was a real empowerment show because they were able to use their voice, speak their mind. And Arya, I mean, at this age, I know what started all of this. And she's like, "Well, you're the one who taught me to speak my mind and say what I had to say." So I'm like, "Yep, I was the one that told you to, say it. Like, if you mean it, say it." And so that's just unleashed a whole nother beast. But it's good. It's like the confidence of these women, young women. I mean, they can do anything when they can say and speak their mind. It's so important to have that.
Wow, that's an amazing story. It guided this whole
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah.
It with hiring the nanny to also want a skill. It was like a little like, hey, this is could be used somewhere as well. Wow, what an amazing story! So I love the the wins for the young ladies. How about for the listeners? Have you seen anything from your listeners in the countries that now are receiving these podcasts? Have you got any successes there that you can speak of?
So the way that we structured Sheconomy, or for women investing women, what I've noticed is Voice America Kids had us on their network, and it was a radio. We started in radio, and you can see like where through the analytics, like where people are chiming in from, the highest countries, and there's like an uptick. You can see like people are still listening from wherever. We migrated that show, and you know how this works, onto a website. So then you stick your content onto a website. We did that. We moved, I think one segment of Women Investing in Women and Girls is still on Acast. I mean, we never continue the show, so there's some like archived shows. And then when we started Sheconomy, we said, this is the space that's going to act like a library. So content from all over the world can come and they park it on Sheconomy. And whether it's women's health, women's entrepreneurship, investing, leadership, any of this content can then be listened to on a web directory in addition to the apps. So we have a permanent web directory as long as nothing happens to it, like people can stay on there. And then we have our apps. So we are literally controlling where this content is. The next goal that I have, because I'm a first-time app developer, I'm learning all of this from scratch. The next thing is,
Congratulations.
thank you. The next thing is the analytics. So the way that works is Santi will record and publish his content on Libsyn or Anchor or Podbean, Acast, wherever you're saving it. You get the analytics. I'm just your distribution platform. I just want to get your content out there, and you will see this is my audience on your back end. But in about 3 weeks, at the end of this month, I didn't tell you this, I've partnered with an Indian hosting platform, and
Okay.
they're going to be able to give us analytics like nobody's business, because they're tracking smartphones and dumb phones, and they're also tracking what's happening all across Asia on distribution channels that people haven't even heard of. So this is like, again, we do things quietly. We don't talk about it until it's done, and then say, take a look at this and tell me if you're happy with what you have or do you want more. And when you take a look at it, you and I will have another conversation, and you can say, oh my God, wow. It's not going to come from me. It's going to come from you. And then you're going to just tell everybody you know. That's how it works. And by the way, since you and I last spoke in Las Vegas, I did get a hold of Corey.
Okay.
And I did get a hold of Talib.
Okay.
And we are now going to collaborate because of you. And I told them that was something that, and Anna pointed me to you. So you see how this works. It's like one to the next to the next. And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm going to find the like-minded people, and I'm going to share whatever I know, and you're going to share whatever you know. And that's how it works. We got the information now.
Yes. I love that. I am so happy that worked out.
Yes.
That was going to bring up my next point. Your successes. Every time I speak to you, even from Vegas, it's always 10 steps ahead. Like, you're very motivational to me in that regard. Like, I know, I watch you work a room. You work a room. Where do you get that energy? Where do you get that spark?
Oh, God. I mean, this is the thing. Like, I'm blessed that I have time to do this work. This is like our moment.
Yeah.
This is our moment. Like, if you think about your people, And I think about my grandmas and their great grandmas. They never got this chance. Many of them never left the house. Many of them never went to school. My grandma, I think she had like a middle school education, and she said, "You go as high as you can," because I couldn't. And so when you have people like that who put their values in you and say, "I'm going to pour myself into you so you can fly," you just fly. You just do it. And like I said, you don't do it for you anymore. You do it for everyone else. And we have 3 days. And I always think of this like podcast movement. Like I was one of the scholarship kids that came to the first one in Nashville, right? And so
you are a master of the grants and scholarships, by the way. You have to speak on that a little bit, because I checked out some podcasts of yours, and I heard how much you accumulated. But
yeah, so this did not come easy. Like when I finished college, my dad said to me, "You have two options now. You're either getting married or you're going to medical school. If you live in my house, this is what you are going to do." And I remember having this conversation with him, and I said, "I'm going to choose the third option. And that is to pack my bags and figure it out, because I want to change the world. I can't change the world without understanding it first. And I probably may end up, getting married to the boy of your dreams or going to medical school, but I'll do it when I'm ready. Like, I can't even balance a checkbook right now. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not ready for marriage. Like, this is not my goal, and I don't want to go to medical school right now." I had this huge explosive fight. And so then, I mean, he's still very angry about this, that I didn't go to medical school. But that's okay. That's a separate story. And so he's like, "Fine, if you're going to go, I'm not paying for this. I paid for Georgetown." And I was like, "I want a full scholarship to go back to grad school there based on merit." And he goes, "Yeah, but you're going to have to pay for everything else. That's where they're going to get you." And so I was like, "I'll figure it out." I had 3 jobs at the time, and I took a job at the summer, working at this lawyer's office, and the lawyer had no business. Her clients were in Puerto Rico, and summer they all shut down, and so she's like, "You can do whatever you want, just answer the phone," and no one would call. I was getting paid to sit there and answer a phone that rang once a week. I had to do something. I mean, this was a godsend. I walked out with no money, and I found this job. I was like, wow. And it was literally writing grants all summer. And I remember I found this magazine, and it said the Rotary Conference in Singapore. And I was like, that place looks amazing. I want to go to Singapore. Heard about it. And I'm like, maybe I'll just apply there. And that application was the lucky application. The same application I used for grad school, I recycled it and applied to the Singapore thing. And once I got to Singapore, like a year later, I ended up on this beach in Thailand, in this bungalow for $300. Met this friend of mine who are still best friends, like dear friend of mine. She works with traditional healers, and she's said, "We've got some Scandinavians that come seasonally, and they have this bungalow, and if you want, I can find out, why don't you stay in this area?" And so I would use that place as a, a place where I would stop and put all my documents and papers and everything. It was like my headquarters at the time, my HQ, my research HQ on this beach in Thailand. And it was in the middle of the Gulf of Thailand. And, every day, masseuse would come or somebody would bring you drinks or something. It was just excellent. Nice. So I was writing grants every day. I was looking for more grants, and I would cut and paste. And that was my job. And sitting on this beach, I think I won $500,000.
Oh my gosh.
So that was for the rest of grad school. I'm like, I'm not going back. Why would I go back? This is great. And the grants would say, you need to come and give a talk in Borneo, or you need to give a talk in Kuala Lumpur, or you need to give a talk in Hong Kong. And I was just great. So they would fly you in.
Oh my God.
You would go, you would give your talk, and then then the rest of the time, what do? You just, so this was like graduate school for me. It was amazing because I really got to push myself, really got to figure out what it is I wanted to do, how I was going to do it, find the right partners. And that sets you up for life, because once you start to think that way,
Yeah.
like, well, COVID was like I said, the Islamic Development Bank, you saw, the first thing I did was write a grant. I'm like, let's go, because I know how to do this. It wasn't like, oh my God, what do I do? It was like, yeah, I know what to do. So that's what we did. We just kept writing. And I think to this day, we won about $450,000 in grants.
Wow.
And that helped us build on Android, iOS, iOS. So I didn't have to go and raise capital for that. I did it through grants, and all non-dilutive capital. So they that's where they get you in the beginning, is like, we're not sure if this is going to work, or, we're not sure, like, we're going to like take a big chunk of you. No, you're not going to, because there's enough organizations that believe in this and why we need to build this. And that's how you prove your concept. That's how you do it.
Sitting in Thailand, typing away, raised $500,000.
That's right.
Not bad. Not bad. You got me wanting to write some grants, because I have a buddy of mine that sends me grants for podcasting, and I'm like, oh man, I got to do something else. But yes, you got to do it. You got to write them up. It's money. It's money sitting there.
Yep. And right now I have 4 that I'm waiting on hearing back from. So you never stop.
Wow.
It's like people will send it, and there's since your partner is a woman, your host, there's one called Hello Alice. They definitely have for diverse founders and creators and things like that. Hello Alice is one. There's another one called I Fund Women. And those 2 will go on there. She Raises Capital. They have a whole section on grants. So literally, you could be doing this all day, or what you do is you set aside one day, or take some time on the weekend and set aside a couple hours and just crank it. And or you find somebody who's good at this and say, if I win this, I'm going to build you in to come manage the grant. They write it and they manage it. So it's money.
Reason why I knew you and I had to talk a long time ago. You motivated me, because I have a bunch on my table, and I have to sit down and do it. And by the way, Quana, she's our co-host. Shout out to Quana D. Buval, and shout out to OG Frank, Rex Carolus, and Red Croc, of our teammates. Normally she would be on our lives, but you and I have been going back and forth, and I know she's a mom. She's a mommy with 4 kids, and I didn't want to just throw it on her. So I let her relax. Quana, I let you relax it, but I would love to have you here. Because she is phenomenal, great co-host, upcoming comedian in the Washington, D.C. area.
Amazing.
Yeah. But that's awesome with the grants.
Thank you.
Wow. So what advice do you have for a young lady, a young woman aspiring to be a leader like yourself? What type of advice would you provide them?
Figure out what it is that you want to be, or who you want to be. Find some role models, and really start to research what it's going to take. Like, go over their bios and say, what is this? What is it about this person that I really like? And I'm not talking about the influencers. Like, like many of our girls, including my own, will look online, and they're on Instagram a lot, and they're on TikTok and so on and so forth. And they sit there and they watch these reels. Hey guys, I just tried this new product. And they like give this whole like new face or whatever they're doing.
Get nice and beat.
They study what they do and how they do it to get to look that good, right? So you have to do the same thing, but this is a little bit more intensive, because it's going to cost money to go to school, or it's going to cost money to get certain opportunities. But I would say if you're motivated and driven, there will be those scholarships, there will be those grants, I promise you. If you start using your voice, which many of us have the ability to do so, you'll get in front of people.
Yeah.
Find your story, right? They'll see your story and they'll be like, work with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to partner, or that girl's gonna represent my brand beautifully. We need to get her. We need to get her somehow like collaborating with us.
That's right.
Just like you reached out to me. It's like it's one of these things. The opportunities will start to come to you. You don't have to push so much.
Yeah.
There will be a time when you have to do that. Always be prepared. Do your research. Know why you're doing it, because that's how you stay motivated. Be on time. And there's a lot of competition out there. But if you want it, like, show why you want it, and professionally. Right. And also, I'm going to say for young women, it's really important that your social media reflects who you are or who you want to be. If you've got some weird content out there, they're going to find it. Like, some people are going to have it. So be very mindful of how you present yourself. And I think it's really important to, like, have that professional image out there so that people will take you seriously. Because the silly stuff, like, you know, and that's why we took our kid off of TikTok. We're like, you don't want that out there. Like, please take it off. And Insta also sometimes. So just really be mindful and be thinking about the woman you want to be, and start to reach out to people to mentor you. I mean, this is really important. Like, I have male mentors and female mentors. I was really conscious about reaching out for help when I needed it. And thank God I found the right people who invested time and energy. There were lots of them that came to help. And they're invested in your success. And so just if there's something that you need, reach out, and, you know, if you're sincere, they will work with you.
100% agree. I think that's very true. That's very, very true. Who's your role model? Who are the people you were looking up to that motivated you?
Well, all right.
Say, sweet talk. What do you know about that all gas, no brakes?
Man, I heard about that all gas, no brakes. I don't think they gonna let me on. I ain't got a damn thing to talk about.
Ooh, they talk about everything. This is all gas, no brakes. Don't step on the 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 brakes.
Papa? Huh? Wala, my boy.